Hey 6-8, happy Friday, 5th day of the week, the last day of our 4th week of daily coaching tips. Hopefully this is just kind of really setting you up for a pathway to success when it comes to following Jesus Christ, being one of His disciples. Today we're going to read our passage one last time, 1 John chapter 2, verse 28 through 3, verse 1, and we're just going to look at how this applies to my world and how we can make some applications here. So 1 John chapter 2, verse 28 starts like this, if I can find the verse. And now, little children, abide in Him, so that when He appears, we may have confidence and not shrink from Him in shame at His coming. If you know that He is righteous, you may be sure that everyone who practices righteousness has been born of Him. See what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God, and so we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. We are God's children. We've talked about that all week. We've kind of made a point to emphasize that. We talked about how we're living in the world and the world doesn't recognize us. Yesterday we talked about a way to shine that light, and when you get a bunch of lights together, a bunch of reflectors, a bunch of mirrors reflecting that light, it gets easier for people to see it, and when you're all by yourself, it's harder. But I think one of the ways that we can kind of go into our world and apply these verses is to think, what kind of righteousness am I living? What does my life look like? If you were to look at my life just from passing me by, if you were to look at my life just from seeing me walk through the store, if you were to look at my life just from seeing me at the gas station, if you were just to look at my life from seeing me at the barber shop, getting my hair cut, wherever you may be, and people are just kind of looking and getting a quick observation on who you are, what would they see? What would they notice? And I think that one of the things we can do that's easy is to have a joyful, positive, hopeful appearance, a joyful, positive, hopeful mentality, a joyful, positive, hopeful expression of who we are, because we have such significance from being found in Christ, and we are God's children. This should make us feel like we've just received this great reward, and we're overwhelmed by the fact that we can't believe we've received this reward. We've been called God's child, and how do we live our lives outside? And I think probably some of the time people don't like looking at us is because we're just grumpy, we're negative, we're pessimistic, we're bitter. You know, we don't really look any different from the world because we're just as angry and negative as they are. They have reasons to be angry and negative because they don't know the joy, hope, and peace that we've experienced. But we've experienced it. We ought to be out there in the world kind of expressing and showing and being passionate about this joy and this hope and this peace that we've received from being in Christ. So if someone were to observe your life in the grocery store, would they notice that you have hope? Would they notice that you have joy? Or would they see you as negative and bitter? You know, when they encounter you in the grocery line, are you encouraging them? Are you letting them take your spot if they have fewer things than you, or even just because they kind of snuck there, and you know, maybe they don't even deserve it, but you're just doing it because it's nice? Or are you kind of trying to crowd your way in front of people? Are you trying to box your way into the front of the line? Are you trying to sneak into things you shouldn't be getting into? You know, who knows what people may be observing, but do people see you as positive or negative? Do people see you as joyful and hopeful, or do they see you as someone who's just bitter and angry? And I think if we want to attract people to Christ in us, the hope of glory, then the people need to be attracted to the hope that Christ gives us. And so I think no matter where we are, no matter where you find yourself, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, Sunday afternoon, whatever it may be, we ought to exhibit the joy and hope that comes from being in Christ, and that's what's going to attract people. Think about the people in your life that you're drawn to, is the people who are joyful and hopeful. It's not the negative people. So look for ways in your life today and throughout this weekend that you can exhibit that joy, exhibit that hope, exhibit that positivity, and be an encouraging influence on someone. And I think that's one practical way we can shine the light for Jesus Christ in our world. So thanks for listening for another whole week of coaching tips. Make sure you check back on Monday for the next installment as we cover the next set of verses in 1 John. Take care. Have a good weekend.